And the Lord will take you back to Egypt in ships, by the way of which I said to you, you shall never see it again. And there you shall be offered for sale to your enemies as male and female slaves, but no one will buy you.
In 1858, aboard Timothy Meaher's steamboat, the Roger B. Taney, Meaher made the bet that he could bring slaves to the U.S. without getting caught. The bet was made between Meaher and this northern businessman for $100,000, equivalent to $2.5 million today. Meaher hired one of the best captains of the Mississippi, Captain William Foster, with one of the best cargo ships, the Clotilde. Built in 1855, the Clotilde featured construction techniques typical of Gulf Coast schooners, used to hold timber and heavy lumber. The Clotilde was best recognized as the finest of its type for both speed and cargo capacity. The voyage from present-day Benin to Mobile, Alabama took only 70 days. After giving word to Meaher about his return, Captain Foster transferred the enslaved Africans to one of Meaher's steamboats, the same boat he made his illegal bet on, the Roger B. Taney. Meaher told his first mate on the ship that he was going into town to collect his bet, and if he was not back in an hour, to set fire to the ship, to burn the evidence of the illegal voyage, thus the burning of the Clotilde. On Sunday, June 8, 1860, the Clotilde, captained by William Foster, arrived into the port of Mobile Bay. The Clotilde held 110 African men, women, and children between the ages of 5 and 23 years old. These captured Africans were sold to Captain Foster from Oda, present-day Benin. If caught, Captain Foster and Captain Timothy Meaher would be punished by either being put in prison or either sentenced to death because of their illegal voyage that went against the 1808 Slave Importation Act that made this voyage illegal. After their arrival, 25 of the 110 Africans were sent up the river to slave brokers, and the others stayed in Mobile under the captivity of Timothy Meaher. After emancipation following the Civil War in 1865, those formerly enslaved on the many Meaher's plantations joined the others in Plateau, an area north of Mobile. The formerly enslaved Africans wished to return to their home in Africa, but because of the lack of money, they decided to stay in Mobile. Given little to survive on, after being freed by the Emancipation Proclamation of the Civil War, these immigrants got by hunting and fishing in the swamps and marshes of Hog Bayou and created houses that would be the first markings of Africatown. The small community transplanted their African tribal culture to this small area of Alabama. They appointed a chief and a medicine man and spoke the native tongue, creating a home where their culture could survive.
The government told them that, look, you have these children you're raising here and growing up. You got to educate them. So they established a school back in 1880. The school eventually evolved into the Mobile County Training School, which was the first training school
state of Alabama, South Carolina, just simply a word for black.
Africatown was built by the last group of Africans imported into the U.S. in 1860. Built in the midst of Jim Crow segregation and Reconstruction, makes Plateau, Alabama, aka Africatown, as the first town founded and continuously occupied and controlled by blacks in the U.S. Cujo Kazula Lewis, the last known full-blooded African to come to America on the coal tide. He helped establish Africatown and was a highly respected man of the Africatown community. Timothy Meaher came to Mobile in 1836 from Whitfield, Maine. Meaher and his brothers benefited greatly from the Southwest Alabama economy. Meaher purchased land and established a home on what is now Telegraph Road in Mobile, Alabama. To this day, the Meaher family is one of the largest landholders in the Mobile River Delta. Meaher was charged with violating the slave importation law, the prohibiting of new slaves to be imported into the United States, but there was still not enough evidence to directly link him and his brothers to the illegal voyage of the coal tide. Around the area where Timothy Meaher's house would have been, on present-day Telegraph Road, a mile away, is Plateau, Alabama. Intersecting Telegraph Road is Meaher Avenue, and intersecting Meaher Avenue is Timothy Avenue, all just a mile away from Africatown, where the slaves he illegally brought to the U.S. settled and called Plateau, Africatown, Alabama, home. The Order of Myths, a documentary film released in 2008, written and directed by Margaret Brown, focuses on the Mardi Gras celebrations in Mobile, Alabama. It reveals the separate mystic societies established by blacks and whites. This film shows and acknowledges the complex racial history of Mobile with the slaveholding past, with the mention of Africatown's history, its beginnings being connected to Mobile's elite society. 2007 Mobile Carnival Association Queen Helen Meaher is the direct descendant of Timothy Meaher, the man who bet he could illegally import slaves into the U.S. without being caught. The illegally purchased slaves from Africa sent across the ocean on the coal tide hailed the ancestor of 2007 Mobile Area Mardi Gras Association Queen Stephanie Lucas Polnitz.
Africatown, Igbo land, child of Jacob, Negro man, do you know who you are? Do you know where we at, folks? Take the make a mountain move, look at Plateau, Africatown, Igbo land, child of Jacob, Negro man, do you know who you are? The revolution won't be a rerun, you sold our parents a dream, we here for the